Golden Bachelorette Chock Chapple steps up for homeless animals. August 11, 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. Joan Vassos lost her husband of 32 years in 2021 after he passed away from cancer. It was a tough loss and she mourns her husband to this day. However, she missed companionship and the security of having a husband. She joined Jerry Turner's Golden Bachelor season to find love again. Joan quit the show early in the season to take care of a family emergency. She returned as the lead of the Golden Bachelorette. After weeks of handing out roses, Joan Vassos handed her final rose to Chock Chapple. The 61-year-old from Wichita, Kansas, proposed to Joan. She accepted, and they've been happily engaged since. The Golden Bachelorette winner showed a new side of himself, animal lover. He stepped up for homeless animals. Keep reading for the wholesome details. Chock Chapple takes once-in-a-lifetime trip with son. Joan Vassos and Chock Chapple have been engaged since 2024. While fans are rushing them down the aisle, the two are determined to take the next step at their own pace. In an untraditional move, the couple lives separate lives but visit each other when they can. Chock still lives in Kansas, where he is the president of an insurance company. Meanwhile, Joan lives in Maryland near her kids. She recently sparked speculation of a breakup after vacationing with Nancy Holkauer, a good friend from the Golden Bachelor. Joan actually had to jump online to inform fans that everything is great between her and Chock. He was on an adventure of her own while Joan was on a cruise. Chock Chapple was on a trip of a lifetime with his son, Tyler. The two went to Africa to celebrate his son's graduation. The trip was actually planned several years ago, but put on hold due to the COVID pandemic. The father and son finally got to fulfill their bucket list item. Chock revealed on social media that his son wants to visit 50 countries by the time he turns 30. His son has visited 27 so far. He said that his mother instilled a love of travel in the family. "My mother was a true travel junkie who encouraged our family to see the world." Golden Bachelorette winner steps up for homeless animals. Aside from travel, animals are another of Chock Chapple's passion projects. He recently partnered with a humane society in Wichita, Kansas to help homeless pets. Earlier this week, he made an appearance at an event at the Kansas Humane Society. The event offered tours of the shelter, meet and greets with adoptable pets, and learn more about helping homeless animals. The Golden Bachelor star posed for pictures while there. "I've been around dogs my whole life, so when they asked me to come, I said absolutely," he said about accepting the invitation. Available dogs and cats, even bunnies, and how to donate to the Kansas Humane Society can be found rescues. The cameras had barely stopped rolling on the Golden Bachelorette finale when Chock Chapple found herself in a very different spotlight. 1 week ago, she had been America's sweetheart, the woman who captured hearts on national television with her sparkling eyes, quick wit, and that way she had of listening like you were the only person in the room. Now she was walking through the back alley of a small, overworked animal shelter in Los Angeles, the smell of kibble and disinfectant heavy in the air. "I didn't expect my life to change this quickly," Chock thought, kneeling beside a trembling terrier mix with matted fur. This wasn't about romance. It wasn't about glamorous gowns or candlelit dates. This was about a creature with frightened eyes who had never been told it mattered. The volunteer beside her, Maria, smiled. "They say animals choose their people. I think she's choosing you." Chock glanced down at the dog, whose tiny tail was beginning to wag. Something clicked inside her, the same feeling she had when she decided to go on the show. "This is what I meant to do next." The call that changed everything. It started with a phone call from an old friend, a producer she'd met during filming. "Chock, there's a shelter near you that's about to close. They're overcrowded, underfunded, and some of the animals don't have much time. Would you maybe visit, post something?" Chock wasn't the kind of person who could just post something and move on. She had grown up with dogs, had spent her childhood feeding stray cats in her neighborhood, and had a soft spot for creatures without a voice. She agreed to visit the shelter, thinking she'd smile for a few photos and make a small donation. But when she arrived, her plans shattered. Rows of cages lined the walls, each holding a pair of eyes that told a story. A gray tabby with half an ear missing, a senior golden retriever whose muzzle had gone completely white, a tiny kitten with a crooked paw, pressing its face against the bars like it wanted to be anywhere else. Chock spent hours there, meeting each animal, asking their names, listening to their backstories. She realized quickly that this wasn't going to be a one-time thing. Making it public. The next day, Chock posted a video to her Golden Bachelorette Instagram account. Her hair wasn't styled, she wasn't wearing makeup, she sat cross-legged on the shelter floor, a small dog curled up in her lap. "This is Penny," she said softly into the camera. "She's been here for 6 months. She's shy, but she's sweet, and she deserves a home." Then she looked directly into the lens. "Every single one of these animals deserves a home. I can't forget them, and I don't want you to either." The video went viral. Fans who had watched her search for love now watched her fight for lives. Comments poured in. "Chock, you're an angel. Where can we donate? I'm driving there tomorrow to adopt." Within 3 days, the shelter had received over $50,000 in donations, enough to keep them open for months. A new mission. Chock could have stopped there. She didn't. She began volunteering twice a week, cleaning kennels, walking dogs, bottle-feeding orphaned kittens. The paparazzi tried to catch her in glamorous outfits, but instead they found her in ripped jeans and muddy sneakers, hauling 50-pound bags of food from her SUV. Producers from the show called, suggesting interviews and appearances. "People want to know if you've found love," they said. She smiled into the phone. "I have," she replied, "just not the way they think." The first rescue. One rainy evening, Maria from the shelter called in a panic. "There's a dog wandering by the highway. We can't get anyone out there right now." Chock didn't hesitate. She grabbed a blanket, some treats, and drove into the storm. The little dog was soaked, shivering under a highway overpass. Chock crouched low, speaking softly, coaxing it closer, until she could wrap the blanket around its fragile frame. Driving back to the shelter, she felt a surge of emotion, the same thrill she had once felt walking into a rose ceremony, multiplied by 10. She named the dog Lucky. Media frenzy. News outlets caught wind of Chock's new mission. Headlines popped up. Golden Bachelorette star becomes animal rescue hero. From TV roses to real-life rescues, Chock Chapple's new calling. Talk shows invited her to speak. Magazine covers wanted her holding puppies instead of champagne flutes. Her fan base grew, but this time they weren't just rooting for her love life, they were joining her cause. One particularly moving interview aired on a Sunday morning show. Chock, sitting with Lucky on her lap, was asked, "What drives you to do this?" Her answer was simple. "When you've been given a platform, you can use it for yourself or for something bigger. I choose bigger." Building the foundation. By the end of the year, Chock had launched the Golden Paws Initiative, a nonprofit dedicated to funding shelters, organizing adoption events, and rescuing animals from high-kill facilities. She traveled to small towns, meeting shelter workers who were doing the impossible with almost nothing. She funded medical care for dogs hit by cars, bought warm bedding for winter, and arranged transport for animals across state lines when space was available. Her followers became donors. Former contestants from the Golden Bachelorette showed up to volunteer. Even some of her past suitors came to adoption events, surprising fans. Love finds her anyway. Ironically, it was during one of these rescue missions that Chock met someone special. Not in a candlelit mansion, but in the parking lot of a rural shelter. Daniel was a veterinarian, his hands gentle but confident as he examined a stray they had just brought in. They worked side by side for hours, and at the end of the day, he asked her out for coffee. Their relationship grew slowly, rooted in shared values, rather than staged dates. He didn't care about her TV fame, he cared about the way she lit up when talking about animals. A happier ending. Months later, Penny, the shy dog from her first video, was adopted by a retired couple who sent Chock weekly updates. Lucky found a home with a family who adored him. The shelter that had almost closed was thriving. At the opening of a new animal sanctuary funded by her foundation, Chock stood before a crowd of supporters, Daniel at her side. Dozens of dogs played in the grass behind her. "I thought the Golden Bachelorette was my happy ending," she said, her voice thick with emotion. But it was just the beginning. Because sometimes the greatest love stories aren't between two people, they're between a person and the world they decide to care for. The crowd erupted in applause, cameras flashed, and in the distance, Penny barked, as if agreeing.